Welcome back to Clear to Respond on Rogers TV. We're talking about Dryerfighters with Jeremy McDougall from Dryerfighters, whose specialty is maintenance of mostly industrial and high-rise dryer systems.
That's right, yep.
Now, Jeremy, in the high-rises, of course, they're not going to allow any combustible materials to be used as dryer venting. But in the home, that's not always true.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes the vent was installed by the homeowner itself who wasn't really familiar with the codes, fire codes, or maybe it was installed before, you know, those kinds of laws came into play. So some homes will have plastic venting, and that can be very dangerous because it's flammable. Is that not contrary to building code, for example? I'm sure, yes, it definitely is. In fact, I don't think you can even buy the plastic ductwork anymore. So if you have that in your home, it definitely would be important to get that replaced.
Well, I see even from this one, the metal, it's not flammable, but look at how easily it bent here. So you take your 4-inch ductwork and all of a sudden you're trying to hook it up to the dryer or get it into a confined space, and you've already got, I don't know if you can see that on with the camera. Oops. Without dropping all my lint. You can actually see that it's crimped, so now your 4 inches is down to maybe 2. Right.
And if that gets clogged, what happens is the heat from the dryer can't escape. It can't vent properly. So that generates more heat inside the dryer. It clogs it up with lint because the lint can't escape, and that's just...
And of course, you're not exhausting the moisture.
Right.
There's the whole intent, therefore your dryer's running longer and getting hotter again.
That's right, yeah. If you notice that your dryer, that your clothes aren't drying as fast as they used to, probably the culprit is a clogged ductwork or the dryer. It's probably full of lint.
Oh, so that's good. So that's something, like we said, the lint building up on the seam, but also you're saying if your clothes isn't drying the way it used to, that's when you should call in a professional.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So
there's a picture of some plastic vent.
Yeah, so these vents were full of lint. You can see as soon as you pull it out, sometimes it just spills out onto the floor.
And this is corrugated or flexible. I guess preferably you like to see the solid surface duct.
Yeah, so if you have the solid surface, that's great. The problem with that is that once it's connected, you can't move the dryer, right? So if you end up shifting it, sometimes that can it can dislodge the ducting. So you can have the solid ducts and maybe a little bit of flexible, just to make it, you know, so that you can move the dryer around a little bit.
We actually had one of our coworkers just had a new dryer installed, and when the installer was there doing the installation, asked how bad is the ductwork, because the house was 12 years old and she hadn't had it professionally cleaned. And it turns out that it was vented close to the exterior of the house, but it had, exactly as you just described, had become disconnected. So 12 years worth of lint was in her drywall ceiling.
Yeah, yeah. We see that quite often. Yeah.
I bet you do. And do you charge more for that?
No.
For extra lint?
No, we'll reconnect the duct for you. That's not a big job. It's pretty easy for us, and it's just standard procedure for us.
So when you're doing a high-rise building, do you bill the individual tenants or do you bill the condo corporation, or does it differ?
Again, that differs. Some buildings, they request that the entire building get done. Sometimes we leave notices for all the tenants, and if they choose to get the service done, then we can accommodate them.
And roughly how much does it cost for you to clean a dryer?
You know, again, that depends. It depends on how many in the building are requesting the service. It depends on how extensive of a cleaning they want. But if they go to our website, they can easily get a quote, and we'll be happy to send that off to you.
You gave me a surprising figure before the show started. How many dryers and vent systems do you figure you've cleaned since 1998?
Over 200,000. Yeah. And
wow.
That's staggering.
Yeah, so we can almost do this blindfolded now. But we're really convinced of the importance of it, and that's what makes it so easy for us to talk to the different customers about it. We'll educate them about what we're doing with their dryer, and we'll show them exactly why it's important and exactly the process. And most homeowners are so happy when they see how much lint came out of that system and how thorough of a job we did.
And so what kind of training do your technicians have to have before they're allowed to go in and clean somebody's dryer on their own?
Right, so we have technicians who've been with the company for over a decade. So usually when we hire on, say, a new technician, they'll have to work alongside with a professional, and they will show them all the tips and tricks, and until they're comfortable with any kind of dryer, and so they understand, you know, all the risks that are involved and how thorough of a cleaning that we need to do. And then when that professional is satisfied with how good of a technician they are, then they're ready to do it on their own.
And I think it's fascinating in some of the pictures you show where you actually physically remove the drum from the dryer.
Yeah.
So that's something that a homeowner wouldn't be doing either.
No, definitely would not recommend that.
Are there very many moving parts back there? Belts?
Yeah, belts
pulleys
and motors and
gears?
wires and gears and yeah. So I definitely, you know, you could pull it all apart and clean it up just great, but to put it back together again, that's a different story. I learned that, you know, the hard way when I first started, and I was glad I was with a professional because, you know, I started taking it apart and then
They knew how to fix it.
and they could
Jeremy,
fix it
we've
for
got
me.
less than a minute left.
Yeah.
If there was one thing that you would emphasize, what would that be?
If you're a homeowner, definitely look at your owner's manual. You'll see how important it is to clean your dryer. Don't wait for a dryer fire. Don't wait for warning signs. Have it checked out by a professional. If there's no one in your area, at least get a dryer technician, a repairman to open it up for you, and then you can clean it and vacuum it yourself. Definitely, it's very important to get it done. I've seen so many dryers with scorched lint, so many dryer fires that almost happened. That could have been disastrous for the building. Don't hesitate. Get somebody to check it out.
And I'd like to add to that, I think that you should have a smoke alarm inside your laundry room.
That definitely
You
would
can
be a
see
good
inside
idea.
the dryer.
No, inside the laundry room. I think that it's not a code requirement, but I think it's best practice, especially if you ever have your dryer going when you are at night. Like now we're all using the time of use and trying to be energy efficient and do our
Yeah.
laundry after hours. The dryers have timers on them.
Yeah, but you know what? Be careful. You know, I wouldn't recommend running the dryer while you're sleeping, just in case something happens or when you've left the home. It would be good. You know, use it at night, but make sure you're alert.
Okay.
Okay, you've been watching Clear to Respond on Rogers TV. We're coming back and we're going to talk in our next program a little bit more about dryer fires. And as Jeremy has been focusing on high rises and industrial and big complexes, we're going to talk to another professional who deals with the detached homes and places where
Single family
kind
homes.
of place that I live in. Yep, smaller dwellings, smaller units, and completely different system. Thanks for joining us on Clear to Respond.
And thanks for being our guest, Jeremy.
You're welcome. Thank you.